The evening Mass of the Lord's Supper on Holy Thursday is the opening moment of the great celebration of the Triduum. On this night, we gather as a faith community, and we remember and commemorate the events of the Last Supper. As followers of Christ, we do what comes naturally to us. We do what Jesus did in memory of him. We celebrate the Eucharist. The Liturgy of Holy Thursday reminds us quite starkly what it actually means to truly be people of the Eucharist. It's to be a people who wash feet, to be a people called to serve one another. It's to be a people called to care for one another. In light of this, we might highlight just 4 elements of the liturgy of this night, knowing that this doesn't exhaust the experience of the liturgy. These elements are the washing of feet, the offering of our gifts for the poor, the reception of communion, and the transfer of the Most Blessed Sacrament. So let's start with the washing of feet. This has been called a homily in action. We have listened to the Word of God, and now we put that Word into visible action. There's no avoiding the message. As followers of Christ, as people of Eucharist, we are called to a new commandment of love and service to one another. This is central to our Christian living. So while this is an optional rite, we do ourselves a huge disservice when we omit it. We've only to remember the impact of Pope Francis's first celebration of this liturgy as Pope to appreciate its significance. The images of him washing the feet of those young people in the detention centre said so much to people across the world about the Christian message of love, humility and service. So how might the washing of feet be carried out in practice? Well, there are a number of options. Our most familiar image is probably that of the priest celebrant, together with concelebrants, washing the feet of 12 representatives of the parish in the sanctuary. Parishes might also like to consider bringing this action out into the body of the church, so perhaps there are different foot washing stations around the church itself. Another way of doing this rite is for the priest celebrant to wash the feet of parishioners, who in turn wash other people's feet, thereby putting into action the call to do also as I have done for you. Now, however this rite is done, it requires preparation and planning. Who will have their feet washed? What bowls and jugs will you use? How will the foot washing be choreographed? How will the whole assembly be able to see what's happening? How will the choir and the music they sing during this rite support and enhance this action? This is worth spending time on and getting right. Now let's move on to the next element we want to look at, gathering our gifts for the poor. An ancient tradition of the Church was to gather gifts for the poor and present them together with the gifts of bread and wine. On this night, as we make a special effort to set our table for the Eucharistic banquet, let's not forget this key ingredient. During Lent, we have remembered the poor of the world in a special way through our contributions to the Trochra box. So why not make a special effort in your parish to encourage people to bring back their Trochra boxes for this evening's Mass and have them brought forward in large baskets at this stage of the liturgy. Moving on, in our Eucharistic prayer, we hear the words of Christ, "Take and eat, take and drink." If there is any occasion in the year when people should be invited to both take and eat, take and drink, then the evening Mass of the Lord's Supper is it. If you don't already, this year, why not make a special effort to extend the invitation to communion to reception from the chalice as well? Again, this needs preparation, and most likely a rehearsal with your ministers of Holy Communion. But it is very much worth considering. And finally, just to mention another unique aspect of the liturgy of these days, the transfer of the Blessed Sacrament. In preparation for the Paschal fast of Good Friday, the tabernacle is emptied, reserving Eucharist for the sick and for the dying, and for distribution during the Good Friday service. Our Liturgy of Holy Thursday concludes with the transfer of the Blessed Sacrament to a place of reposition. This is a procession that needs choreography. It's led by a cross, candles and incense. It has a starting point and a destination. Parishes need to plan how to move gracefully between the two. The place of reposition also needs to be prepared so that it can become a place where people can stay in quiet prayer if they wish to. After people have departed in silence, the altar is stripped bare in readiness for our gathering on Good Friday.